Hello, everyone. Today we'll be interviewing someone very special to me, Afro Elite. He does content on Black empowerment, exposing racism and politics and inequalities in the world, and highlights the double standards and reality a lot of African Americans have to deal with that is not being known by the mainstream media. He does live streams believe about twice a week now. That's very engaging material that you don't see and keeps it real, man. Has a good audience. How you feeling today?
I'm good. I am good. I'm feeling good today. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling really good. I'm glad to be able to finally sit down. I kind of been on this YouTube grind for a while because I've been one of your first subscribers, so it feels good to
Yeah.
finally get back and do some more content. It's been like years since we done the video today. Um, but yeah, let's get to the interview. Um,
All right.
I've been a day one supporter of your content, and I really respect your work ethic. Can you describe your YouTube journey, both the highs and lows?
Well, it started off, as you can remember, just with one video, and that was after the the protests and uprisings that we were seeing with George Floyd. So I just wanted to give some information just about police brutality with that, and then that put me into making content because everybody was all like, "Hey, you should keep doing it." And I thought that if that could help, then that's what I would do. And then it just took a little bit of time, and I just started doing it. And uh, it, I've been just consistent ever since then. As far as the highs came much later. I remember my high when I first got the first 100 subscribers. So that was a big thing, but it would always be something like a 100 subscriber, 1,000 subscriber, something. And I finally would think, okay, I reached a new standard. I made it. And then next thing you know, the views stopped coming in and everything. And it was like every time I reached that standard that I thought like, okay, now it's only uphill from here. Okay, now I'm finally reached that level. I would still have to put more effort. Every video I would have to put the same amount of effort in. It's like I couldn't rest with it. It was relentless. So and it was discouraging. Some videos really did really well. And I put a lot of effort into it. And then some videos, I put a lot of effort into it. I thought that, okay, this is going to be my big break. This is going to be it. And it just didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't land like that. And I would have to kind of just like analyze why, guess why, not doubt myself, and then just move on to the next video.
Yeah.
I didn't even really have time to wonder about it too much. I just had to look at it, be all like, oh, I wonder why that didn't make work. Maybe I could have changed this. Maybe I could have changed this, and then move on. So um, that was discouraging. That was discouraging, and that's happened. That was happening for the first couple years, really, to be honest with you. But I just had to learn that that's what comes with it, man. That's what comes with it.
Yeah, that's a good start. One thing I will harp on is that with the George Floyd tragedy, that a lot of DEI stuff has been pushed back, and even like stuff like critical race theory and education, and we have Ron DeSantis saying that slaves earn good trades and good skills. So
Mm.
there's been like a really a pushback across the country, spark reaction, and a lot of scholars highlight that pushback at critical race theory, academic freedom, censorship of like rights and books. What is your thoughts on that correlating to like your YouTube career?
Well, I can't stand Ron DeSantis at all. I think he's one of the worst politicians, period. All right, not even right now in modern time, but just straight up, period. But it's very important for us to understand exactly how deep it goes because that was one of the important things for me to understand exactly how deep racism goes and how embedded racism is in everything in the education system. Um, in a job place, just in modern laws, in the disproportionate, you know, interactions with law enforcement that Black people have to go through in the medical field, and every aspect of life, entertainment, every aspect of life. And it's important that Black people know this, which is why you have folks like DeSantis don't want people to understand this, because they understand, as a conscious person, when you're aware of these aspects of racism, it makes you uncomfortable living in this world without doing something about it. And Ron DeSantis and other white supremacists like him, they don't want Black people to do anything. They want us to kind of just accept this is the world that we live in, and have this kind of like veil of reality, and kind of operate just on autopilot. And that's why they're trying to strip away that important education, so it doesn't stay on the top of the conscious mind and become the driving force for somebody to do something to fix that, because they don't want anything to change. Okay, they like it the way it is. They want it a little bit better for themselves, so they don't want us to know about it consciously. Even if subconsciously the world's not fair, they don't want you to consciously know it's not fair because of this person, in this system, in this institution, in this and this and this. Because when it's on the top of your mind, when it's on the conscious of your mind, then you start to be all like, you know what, I can change that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they don't want us to know about, especially the youth. Especially the youth. They don't want the youth to know about that.
Yeah, so that's a term in like CRT. It's called white fragility, and also he says like they're guilt tripping children, but they definitely don't want an educated, youth base. And I think that it's kind of the correlation with your YouTube channel. This chain reaction of like you see people protest and broadcast. So then they've gotten rid of stuff like DEI, University of Florida, fired all people. And that's just a direct um of what's going on in the world with just the censorship of speech and rights and how this and you made very good points, and I think it's like a very shame, that they have to go through that, and they're moving the goalpost what it is because they see this new young generation. Like I was watching representation videos, we're gonna get it this year, and people are scared of that. Uh,
Mm. Oh.
but yeah, so back to the questions. What advice would you give to people who aspire to become YouTubers like you?
Well, my advice, it might be a little bit different depending on exactly what their YouTube is going to be about. But if I'm just talking about, because you said like me, so I would say, um, honestly, with it, just to be general, not to be too, because I can give a lot of advice, but put your best foot forward. And this doesn't just go for if you want to do it like in Black empowerment or talking about Black history or anything like that. But if you want to do it when it comes to any type of content, you got to put your best foot forward. You can't half ass it. Okay. And this is something that I had to learn. And you have to accept, you really do. And it's a hard pill to swallow. You got to accept that you're going to lose a lot in the beginning. And you might take off the first video, second video, maybe it might take off and you might just blow up. And then it's going to, that down is going to come. And you got to be able to stomach that. You got to be able to stomach looking at something and and thinking that it's gonna do well and it doesn't, and you gotta just move on. You gotta just be better. You gotta be able to stomach that and tolerate that. All right. So this is something. It's a sense of discipline. All right, that you have to have. You're going to have to, if you really want to stay here. Not only do you need discipline and perseverance, you also need to face certain levels of insecurity, because it doesn't matter what you do. if you do black empowerment, if you do movie reviews, if you do gaming, music, and lifestyle content, whatever you have, you're going to have haters. That's just going to be what it is. And you're going to have haters. And then if you got haters and then you got a video that didn't do so well or a couple videos that didn't do so well, you're going to start thinking, man, I don't even know if I can do this. You can't think like that. You cannot think like that. You gotta understand this is what comes with the game. All right. And you gotta put your best foot forward. All right. You gotta understand that. You gotta put 100% into it, you
Yeah.
know. And there's times where you might be able to drop a few videos a week or whatever, and you might be on a roll, and then life just happens to happen. And then they might set you back, and then you can only do a video or so a week or whatever. As just make sure that you don't give up. That's the best general advice I can, just general advice. And then a secondary, I would say, know what you're talking about. Because everybody has a camera, man. Everybody has a camera now. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can go live stream. My mama can go live stream if she wanted to. My grandmama can go live stream on YouTube if she really wanted to. Anybody can do that. Know what you're talking about, okay? Because that's what's going to make people be able to filter you out from everybody else who just is giving an opinion on the subject. All right.
Yeah, that was great advice you gave them.
Mm-hmm.
Stay disciplined. Anything you do, take discipline, motivation. You got to grind. There's been many times where you're like, I'm barely awake, but you still out of the videos 2, 3 in the morning. So definitely not an easy task.
Uh
Um,
huh.
was there a specific moment experience in your life that this is before like George Floyd that inspired you to start creating Black empowerment content?
Well, before George Floyd, I would say, damn. There's been a lot of. I didn't have this like one aha moment. I had a lot of small aha moments, if you know what I mean, that just compiled up into this thing. It was like a lot of small little things that built up over time. I will say, let me see, if there could be one moment about it, it was when I was 18 years old. I just turned 18 and I got pulled over for the first time. When I got pulled over, this was in January. I remember it was like in the middle of January. I got pulled over. I was on my way to get something with my car done. And I pulled into this small little white neighborhood, the road small, and a cop was pulling up behind me. So I pulled into the driveway of this house so he can get past me because the roads were narrow. I pulled out, drove back, trying to get out. He comes up behind me, starting to speed up a little bit. I'm like, is he about to pull me over? He pulls me over. He asks me, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know anybody here or whatever. I don't know what's going on. This is 9 o'clock in the morning, mind you. He's all like, oh, okay. You sure you don't know whose house that is? I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't know whose house that is. Now I did see one lady open up the door, one old light white lady open up the door and is on the phone. So I'm assuming she's the one who made the report or called or something like that. Okay. Because I was trying to put the GPS in my phone, which is why I was pulled over to the side. So he was like, are you sure whose house is that? He kept asking me, whose house is that? I don't know. And then he would ask a different way. He was like, okay, so all right. Who do you know at that house? I keep saying, I don't know. He's trying to slip me up by asking the same question in a different way. And then he was like, okay, well, wait right here. I'll wait. Another cop car pulls up. And then he walks up, he's like, hey, can you step out the car? I'm like, oh my God, I gotta step out the car. So I stepped out the car. Mind you, I haven't done anything. He pulled me over because I was suspicious, right? So then he was like, can we search the vehicle? Now, mind you, I'm 18. I'm late for where I was going. I just know I remember that part. I'm like, man, hopefully he searched his vehicle. He ain't finding nothing. He will hurry up and let me go. I'm trying to get let go. All right. I don't have nothing in the car anyway. So I said, fine. I shouldn't have said that, but I said, fine. Then he's like, okay, well, my partner's going to search the vehicle. Come with me. So I'm walking with him, and he's like, just sit on the trunk. I'm sitting on the trunk of my car. And the second I sat on the trunk of my car, it's like an awakening just happened. Like it just like in sparked, like a light bulb just popped up above my head. I was like, oh my God, he can plant something there. And then nobody's going to believe a 18-year-old black man over these two white officers. Why can I not look at him search my car? So I tried to turn my head. He was like, hey, don't look, don't look, don't look. Oh my God. Why I can't look at this man search my car? And mind you, he's searching for absolutely no reason, even though I shouldn't have gave him permission, but there was nothing I've done to warrant him searching my car or even being suspicious. So then he's telling me, yeah, we just have a lot of break-ins in this time of year and all that. So we were just trying to make sure you weren't breaking into that house. Pulled up in the driveway at 9 o'clock in the morning. Normally, that's not how people break into people's houses, but okay. So nothing was found. He gets out. He was like, you know what? We'll let you go. All right. Just be careful. So I drive off. And I'm like, that was my first experience with that. And it caused me to really look into more of how black people are with the police and black people's relations with the police. Okay. Because a lot of people need to understand that when it comes to police misconduct, even police brutality, even police shootings, it's not always the ones that end in a black person dying. That's the ones we talk about the most because, of course, those are the most severe cases. But we also got to talk about the times police just pull you over just for being black, police harass you, police search your car without permission, police plant things. So that caused me to go on this really rabbit hole of looking into different police statistics and cases and dealing with black people. And then that caused me to look into the prison system. And then that caused me to look into this and this and this. And all of these chains started linking together, and one domino knocked the other one down. And then that became a thing where I'm just started watching different YouTube videos, watching different documentaries, ordering different books. So I would say if I could name one single thing that pushed the biggest domino, it would have been that.
Well, man, that's a traumatizing story, especially when you're 18 years old and feel like you were just like targeted. He just was
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you to come out. We're gonna corner him. We're gonna check. Maybe he a black person in the area. I'm pretty sure black people get stopped way more. But I don't have the data on me right now, but as we saying, like what happens in the country, being profiled. So yeah, that's very traumatizing experience. Hate you had to go through that, but you know. I mean, I get it. That was that'd be annoying for me too if I got pulled over and I done that. I just look back at the time my age, I would have been like, yeah, they could have put something or why isn't you letting me watch it? So that's very suspicious. What he would have done that to a person that's not of color, probably not. But yeah, that's very annoying story. All right, we're gonna get into some sports questions. What is your favorite sport and what draws you to it?
Favorite sport? It would definitely be basketball. I'm just not. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I like sports. I like sports. I think sports is really good. I think it's good for the person. I think it's good for character development. I mean, basketball, boxing, football, all of these sports are good, but it's got to be basketball, and that's just got to be probably because when I was a kid, I had the little basketball hoop with the cushion basketball, and I would be shooting and dunking the basketball when I'm talking about a little shorty. I was a kid, so my parents, that's the only sport that I saw that my parents actively like watched like all the time. When the game was on, they were watching the game. I didn't really see my parents watching other games besides basketball like that. Like if football was on, they might watch. If baseball was on, and there was nothing else on, they would watch that. But if like they would stop, like, ooh, we can't miss basketball. So it was. I came up in the basketball loving house.
Yeah, I agree too. Even my mom, like, grew up. I'm a 90s baby. Even my mom's not like huge into sports like that, but Michael Jordan, basketball. My dad, basketball. One of my first memories, me outside, they putting you up on a rim and you dunking with the basketball and they having you that. So that's my favorite sport too. And it also does bring character. It builds discipline, personal skills. It brings a community of people. Sports can be a hobby or something you do, like you cover entertainment, and it brings friendships. It brings you lifelong friendships. Coaches, I'm pretty sure the people that got coached to come, everybody can remember their first coach or a person they went to or their friends outside. Yeah, basketball is very good sport. Mine too, but as we are African Americans, like we dominate basketball, so that's my answer too.
Mm,
Foundational Black Americans, as you would say.
yeah. Hmm.
But we dominate those sports too. Um, is there anything in particular about sports that you're especially passionate about, or you would like to discuss, just you personally, like right now?
Um, that I'm particularly passionate about. I just love especially when you start young. I love the discipline it instills. I love the perseverance, all of the things we that apply to YouTube. Like I was saying before, the amount of just getting up and the grit it develops, the grind, the drive for success that it develops, the tolerance for defeat. A lot of people understand that. A lot of people like victory. Everybody likes victory, but you got to be able to tolerate defeat. You got to be able to tolerate, missing that winning shot. You got to be able to tolerate missing a game, missing a championship, getting put on the bench. You got to be able to tolerate that and stomach that, and then just learn that, hey, I just need to do better. I think that the character it builds, well, it can be basketball, it can be another sport, but the character development that it builds can be applicable to so many other things that can cause you success in life. So I think that that's the best thing about it. I mean that as far as teamwork, cooperation, quick thinking, all of that. I feel like that's the best aspect of sports in general.
Yeah, I study education, so sports definitely does build integrity, character. You learn morals, values. I'm pretty sure you learn all kinds of different communities, bring people together from all over the world. It's international, global. China has a league, America has a league, Greece has a league. So basketball is huge. Like we hear about soccer all the time and stuff like that, but it's like basketball has a huge fan base too. And I like your correlation with YouTube because you have to go there and grind. You can't, oh, I'm gonna miss a shot. I'm gonna stop shooting. You got to keep shooting. And we've all had that older cousin or someone that came and just dropped you off and beat you 21-0. But you got to keep going and say how you finna get better. Or that older person or someone. So it ain't like no golded, highlighted path. Um, who is your favorite athlete and why?
My favorite athlete. Well, this ain't got nothing to do with basketball, but it would be Muhammad Ali, right? um, he probably likes basketball, right? Right. But honestly, that's just because of his character, I would say. Um, and the level of integrity I thought he brought to not just boxing, but to just sports in general. The fact that he didn't separate sports or entertainment from Black empowerment. Now you've had other athletes who've done that, and they would call out racism and they would use their platform to do that. I don't recall. I don't think there was one that's done it to his level, and especially back during that time was very important. So that was a big deal. I feel like, and that set the precedent for a lot of other stuff. Like for instance, going into the future, when you talk about Colin Kaepernick, or when you talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, where other people were taking knees and stuff like that for to address police brutality. I'm not talking about the organization, but like the actual grassroots movement. So I feel like all of that was kind of the them walking in the footsteps, so to speak, maybe in a slightly different way, but so to speak, based off of the integrity that Muhammad Ali showed with the draft in Vietnam. And not only him not going, but him being able to unapologetically state why he's not, and call out the racism as to them, and the hypocrisy as to them even drafting him.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali is a big rights advocate. He's one of my favorite too. Like it's Ali. One of my even when I was growing up a kid watching the movie, one of my favorite movies. But a lot of rights we have, like for African American, for like black athletes, is that was built on the foundation of activism Ali would do. I believe it was Ali, Jim Brown, Lou Asa, or Criminal Jabbar. They would actually go to the White House and advocate for civil rights of black people, fair treatment. I'm trying to, do you remember the name of the group? It's called the Big Something, but they would always advocate and put that list forward. And Ali was very, controversial at the time because he would stand up for stuff other athletes wouldn't go for. And he sacrificed a lot at the end of the day for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of athletes today of color. So I always appreciate Ali and how he does because he's a very, very charismatic character, full like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Mm-hmm.
Very charismatic and really brought aspect to sports of entertainment and charismatic. I ain't seen really no one with that charisma in sports for like foundational black athletes, but like he has to be like number one up there. Some of his stuff he says is legendary. He would come in with class, so I would
Mm-hmm.
also that's a really great choice. But mm, so we're gonna move to the next question. You follow politics. Do you think politics and sports are inherently political? Why or why not?
Politics and sports are inherent. You
Are
Are
they intertwined?
politics?
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
You follow politics. Do you think sports and politics are intertwined? Why or why not?
Um, yeah, honestly, everything is, you can find the connection in everything. Okay, we have to understand that in this country nothing is completely separated from another thing. Okay, sports are not completely separated from politics, just like entertainment, because entertainment in general is not completely separated from politics. Entertainment is very much so tied to politics, is very much so tied to the media. Everything is tied to politics in some way. You can make some argument that is tied in some way. The rights of certain people, whether that's when it comes to the college athletes, whether that when it comes to team ownership, segregation, all of that. Um, Certain athletes being fined for saying certain things or speaking out on certain issues. So those things are tied to politics. The fact that they try to make examples out of certain athletes or to use athletes to push certain political narratives, those things are tied, and they use those influence to tie and make examples and set precedents and things of the sort. So I would say yes, that those things are tied.
Yes.
You can't separate them.
Like we mentioned, what we mentioned like race and how it's intertwined racism in all social structures and That's like 10 in the CRT. So it's embedded in the system. So yeah, I agree. And you mentioned one good thing about examples. They said they want to make an example out of Shador Sanders. Uh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on that? And do you think that that's right that they, and I think they just done it because he's an unspoken, confident person.
Yeah.
I listened
And
before the film.
that's the thing. Um, even if we can somehow, or not even somehow, we can really use Muhammad Ali, and you can see a lot of parallels with our brother Shador Sanders, because you can see the fact that they understand the danger of a very unapologetic, uh, outspoken black male in sports, okay, who has a big profile, who whatever they say a lot of people are gonna hear, a lot of people are gonna listen to, who's very clear and direct. What they want in sports is they want the blind side. That's what they want. And no disrespect to that brother, but that's what they want. They want a big black man who pretty much, and I'm based off of the movie. I'm not saying that's how he is in real life, because that's not how he is in real life.
Yeah, he
But
wrote
based off the
conflict.
movie,
Yeah.
he's kind of like this big ogre almost. He don't know anything, and he kind of just needs guidance, and he needs supervision, and he's kind of just this big child, right? They like a lot of big, strong, fast children. That's what they like, and with a childlike mentality, immature like mentality that they can warp and monetize however they see fit. They don't like a black man who's confident, who can check, because a lot of interviewers, they be doing like shade, they throw shade, and it's a lot of microaggressions. Who will be able to call that out and check that, or call out the league and check the league for their injustice and their racism? They don't like that stuff. They don't like an unapologetic, black male who speaks truth to power. They don't. So what they're doing is, because they don't want to show their hand, so what they're doing is they're trying to maneuver him out. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. And it's not just one party doing this. Is this party, it's the media, everybody's in on it. Okay. Because none of them like that.
Mhm.
So I don't think what is going on with our brother Shador Sanders is justified at all. I don't like that. They
Yeah.
don't like that precedent. And they especially don't like the precedent of a black family that's dominating anything.
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
think nothing from them. Yeah.
No, at all. A one black person doing something is one thing, but they don't like black dynasties coming in taking over anything. That's one thing that they fear. They intrinsically fear that a black father and his children coming in taking over anything. Absolutely not.
Lamar
They
ball
don't like
over.
that at all.
So you mentioned a good thing. One thing that's not, I mean, you mentioned unapologetic, and that's Angel Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel. You know,
Okay.
she recently got traded from Chicago, which I think because she was outspoken and telling the truth how bad the team was and stuff. They hold people accountable. But yeah, no, they don't want that family. You know, he was targeted. I remember saying a year ago, like, how do you throw 40 touchdowns and you be drafted in the fifth round or whatever at a D1 school or whatever, and you have a Heisman Trophy win on the team, you breaking all these records. And it was just, quiet the closet. We gonna humble this man. We can't have this. We can't have a athlete with $2 million watches in college. So it was a very nuanced with NIL deal, and a lot of people are jealous. They ain't finna say that. But yeah, no, those are all great answers. And his dad is out. And we see the same thing with LeVar Ball. You know, he's kind of
Mhm.
more crazier, but at the end of the day, all of his sons are successful athletes. And when you have that confidence, they try to lower it and knock it down. They want this white savior complex to be told what to do. Like you mentioned, in Blindside, lead them to what to do. So those are all good answers. Should athletes be expected to stay quiet about political issues? Really have the responsibility or right to use their platforms to speak on issues.
They absolutely shouldn't be expected to stay quiet, especially because of the fact that you can't separate you being black at all. That's something that will never go away, no matter how much money you have. I mean, we see what's going on with athletes that make millions of dollars. All right. athletes who got fame, worldwide fame, and you still see racism that comes in here. You see doors that they can't enter. You see stuff they can't do, teams they can't buy, fines and fees that they have to apply. White hecklers being able to call them out and say stuff. You see stuff like that happening to them. So it doesn't matter how famous you get, how successful you are, how skilled you are as an athlete. You're not going to be able to escape the system of racism. Going back to your first question about is sports tied to politics, and that's why I'm like, it is. Everything is going to be tied to politics because this is just the system. So they can't be expected, especially when they see injustice. You know what I'm saying? When they see Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown or George Floyd or anything like that, when they see Breonna Taylor or anything like that. Recently, we had a situation in Illinois, Sonia Massey. So when they see stuff like that, of course, just if they're going to be black first, of course they're going to call that out, right? And they should be allowed to. They should be allowed to call that out and use their platform to say what they want to say. You know, they shouldn't be silent about it. We have a First Amendment and allows for free speech as long as that doesn't violate something as far as maybe their contract goes or something like that. So, as long as they don't say, well, I represent the Chicago Bulls and I say da 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 da. If they speak for themselves as an individual, they should have a right to. They should have a right to, and they shouldn't be punished for it because they can say other things that aren't their opinion that is told to them to say, but things that are all that they actually feel and that do affect them and their people and their children, they can't speak out on, and that's not right.
Yeah,
That's not
no,
right.
this goes back to your blind side. Y'all just want them to sit there and listen, and it's like the dumb jock, dumb bulk stereotype. And we mentioned the
Mm-mm.
intersectionality
They
of
like a they like an athlete that's shucking and jiving, that's bucking
yeah,
their eyes, as I'm just so glad to be here and thank you for taking me out the ghetto. And they love, and that's another reason why they don't like the black family, the black dynasty dynamic, because they want that single plucked super talented Negro that's going to be sitting up there thanking everybody around them. Oh, thank you for taking me out the ghetto. Thank you so much for recognizing me. When you come in with a strong black family as your foundation, you're going to be appreciative, but you're not going to be out here bootlicking to show your appreciation and worth. You're not going to be doing that. And that's what they like. They like somebody who's going to be kissing their feet. So, normally when you come from a structured, strong black family, you're gonna be all the way, thank you, but I'm the
I'm
money
about to
maker.
work myself. I don't need. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm the one who
I,
bought these people. I'm the one whose skill made these people come here. So they don't like that. Then they'll say, "Oh, this person is cocky. This person is so full of themselves." That's how they market that.
then they
That's how
start
they say
saying
it.
you hard to work with and all
Mm-hmm,
this stuff
mm-hmm,
and this all this manufactured headlines like Deion Sanders was saying that
mm-hmm.
doesn't exist. So no, they definitely do want those athletes to remain quiet because it's a business out there and they don't want to piss people off or whatever. They want to push those narratives to the masses. So like you
Yeah.
don't have a personality, which is not right. They are humans too.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen A. Once said, "I'm black first, so a question on black people to succeed." Stephen A. At First Take, he's hired a bunch of African Americans, had them on the show, has been really famous. Like preaches black first. Like I read most of wants to be black first, will be black first. Of course, I want to be black first. How do you interpret this statement?
Um. Well, as you know, I'm not a strong fan of Stephen A. at all. So you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna. The statement I love the statement or whatever. I gotta read exactly or look into whatever interview he said that in and what
It's on the
context
podcast.
that was put in his podcast. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Um, on face value, the statement itself, I feel like we should operate like that. Now, I'm not saying Stephen A is like that. Okay, I know you're a fan of him,
Hey,
and that's something we differ on. That's cool. That's fine. Um, But I do think that if we are going to be in that field, we should be looking out for other black folk. Now we have to understand that Stephen A. He's not a foundational Black American. So if he does look out for black people, that's good. I just want to be clear with that, just because
How,
you know,
how is he not though? He was born in.
well, he because his family is from the Caribbean. He
Oh,
says
but
so
he was
himself.
born in Hollis. Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, so yeah, he might have been born you but but
Yeah,
so I want to be clear with that. But moving on past that, if we are going to be in these fields, which we already understand, they have that like one Negro in the room rule, where it's like, well, if there's a black person there, that's just going to be where we do have a black person in there, and then what happens too often is we have that one black person who knows about the rule. It's an unspoken rule. So that black person makes sure they gatekeep other black people's success as a way to protect their own success. And we need to really work out of that mentality. So that black person is all like, hey, well, if there's a help wanted, they're not gonna look out for any other black person. Or if another black person comes in the office, they're not going to be trying to show them the ropes or give them tips to success, and they're not going to be trying to put them on and all that. They're not going to be trying to do that because they want security in their own position, and we shouldn't be operating like that.
yeah. I ain't gonna lie, James. Like he literally talked about so many people he put on, like Ryan Clark, like Cam Newton, like other people. Like like he's done that a lot. Like really, like put people on. Like I can probably send you like more examples.
Yeah,
Like
he's put
be
Cam
more
Newton
correct.
on. That's
I mean,
interesting.
not Cam Newton. I mean, like, but he's like Ryan Clark, for example, was on. But he has spoken out about stuff you said. It ain't like it's very similar to what a lot of stuff you say, and I kind of know you
Okay.
personally. Um,
Okay.
but he does acknowledge that it's racism in the business, and that he tends to focus on helping black people because it isn't a lot of black people in this field. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
he really said, I'm black first, I'm proud first, and he unapologetic about it. I ain't gonna like it could become, but like the podcast is different from what's on First Take, and that's him. So maybe you can kind of check that out some, but he does talk about a lot of political issues. He talk about as far as like shooting with the ice or etc. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just something we just don't agree upon about.
Yeah,
But
we've
I
been
mean,
disagreeing on
we ain't.
Stephen
But
A. for
I just want to add a
years
little bit
now,
of context.
man.
You
But
know,
oh,
we
it's
still
it's fun to have these moments and conversations
we
about it.
still
It's
cool. We
cool.
still
It's
cool.
cool.
But it's just like I don't know. I like
Okay.
kind of read his book. He's not perfect. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
I agree with you on that. We can
Like
agree on
sometimes
that.
he do get critique. Like he hard on
Uh-huh.
like one last thing thought of it. He said sometimes he's harder on black athletes because he
Yes.
wants them to succeed or do something sometime. What is your
Hmm.
thoughts on that?
Um, my thoughts on him being quote unquote harder on black athletes. There is a way to do it, and you should be hard because you should want excellence. You should want the best. You should want a high standard for black athletes. However, my issue was the what I would see as a certain ways of hypocrisy. That's what I would see. Certain things where it was almost like you're saying you're trying this tough love, and that's what a lot of people in these positions do. It's a lot of quote unquote tough love for the community, but oftentimes it's you being a vessel to kind of speak against or to push a narrative against a certain athlete or certain athletes, black athletes. And you're saying, well, hold on, I'm just kind of tough around black athletes, but yet we don't see it's not even the same energy, but we don't see the same standard and principles applied to non-black athletes, right? Um, I remember specifically when Kyrie Irving, he didn't want to take certain medical procedures. I will say that because I don't want you to get flagged on your channel. He didn't
Aaron,
want
Rod-
to take any
Aaron Rodgers.
certain medical procedures, and Stephen A. had a lot to say about that. I mean, Stephen A. just dragged this man for filth completely about that. He said he should be kicked off the team and all that.
He, he,
Uh,
he
and
said,
then
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
personal.
he did. He said he's not worth a box of cookies. I remember that. I can quote
Um,
him on that. I remember
but
him saying that. And
but
then it came out
yeah.
that Aaron Rodgers, who was the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, had lied about taking this medical procedure. And that energy did not come out of him. He did not have anything remotely like that to say. I remember, and that the biggest thing I can remember was the situation with Dana White
Oh yeah,
and
that's
how he was with Dana White in comparison to how he was with Ray Rice, you know. So I see this double standard in what I see as hypocrisy and what a lot of people see as shucking and jiving that comes from him.
yeah. I would say he does prioritize like all that stuff personal. He's friends with
Mm-hmm,
Dana White. He said that he get on TV. I'm friends with Dana
mm-hmm.
White, and also he all we don't like the Packers. I think he's friends with Aaron Rodgers too. He always say he's a bad man. So it kind of the intersection of personal versus reality hold people accountable. Because I think a lot, oh, we want to, you my friend, I want to go easy on you, but that's something he does do, and like that,
Does he have
and
black
that
friends
comes
that he want to go
discrepancy.
easy on? That's the where's his black? He always he know a white person. He going easy on a
Yeah,
white person. Where's his black
yeah.
friends
But
that he's
one thing,
going easy on? That where are the black people that the industry is pushing a lot of pressure on, and he's kind of coming in their defense? You know, he's not one of the ones driving the narrative against to put the pressure or reprimand the black person. It seems
yeah,
like when it came to Colin Kaepernick and other situations, he was one of the
yeah,
main faces
I didn't get it though.
driving the main voices driving the pressure against that person or the narrative against that person. That person's getting drugged, he's right there on the front lines. Now when it's a white person that happens to be his buddy from way back and he don't really want to say anything and there's a lot of context and we're
Yeah.
overreacting and it's okay, hey, you know,
I've seen them snap on him by a fair amount of white people, but I
okay,
want to say
okay, maybe.
one thing I do agree with him about is that stay off the weed. He kind of get out that with athletes. You making all this money in the league. I don't know if you remember Ricky Williams, and he had retired to smoke weed literally. So stuff like that,
Really?
I agree upon. Like you get millions. They had a policy. You couldn't do it at the time, but that's something he's famous for. Well, moving on. Do you what are your thoughts on the "shut up and dribble" comment directed at LeBron James? Why do you think that sentiment was expressed?
Going back to what we were saying about how sports is not tied is always tied to racism, okay, because the fact that she says that, now mind you, my grandma, who doesn't really watch sports, knows who LeBron James is. I mean, LeBron James is like a worldwide superstar. Like you can't go, especially in America, you can't go anybody be like, have you ever heard of this guy named LeBron James? They would be like, yeah, we've all heard of LeBron James. Whether you like him or not, whether you watch basketball or not, you've heard of LeBron James. You go around asking about Laura Loomer, they be like, man, I don't know who Laura Loomer is. Nobody knows who Laura Loomer is. So LeBron, and now I'm not even just talking about his relevance, but I'm talking about the money, the deals, the status, all of that, the lifestyle, all of that is way bigger. Yet she thinks that because of her race, she still has this intrinsic superiority above him. And that's how they feel. They be all like, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much status you have, no
We can
matter
put you
how
back
many
down.
accomplishments you have, we still have authority above you. We should still be able to tell you to do what you're supposed to be doing. You're like a slave on a plantation making money for me. And even if you're making more money than me, you're entertaining me. It's about me. I'm the one in charge. And you need to not forget that. Okay. And that's the energy that Laura Loomer came out with that with. Now, here's the thing. You would not see, and here's the thing, how you know it's a racial thing when it comes to sports. You have never seen a black interviewer, journalist, reporter saying, you know what, I think this white person should just shut up about politics. This white athlete who's on the status of LeBron James. You would never see them saying something like, I think Tom Brady should shut up about politics. They would never say that. They would have to come up with all these types of apologies. They'd be taken off air for a while. They'd be going around making public
But was she
apologies and
even
donations
suspended
and all
when it
that. So
happened? Do you know? Was she
you said what?
suspended? Was she suspended when it happened?
No, no, there was no type of punishment for her. Not that I'm aware of, but she wasn't taken off air. I know that much. Um, but this is what we're told. So, and it just goes to show that no matter how hard you are, now mind you, not Michael Jordan. I was about to call him Michael Jordan, but LeBron James entered the NBA straight out of high school. So LeBron James has been in there since he was what
18.
18 years old, right? He's been in there for decades. Okay. And he has all of these accolades, all of these awards, championships, MVPs, all of this stuff, all of these millions of dollars, right? And still he has to live in a society where in comparison to him, the average white person feels like she has some level of authority over him, right? And that's how they feel about black athletes. Like I said before with the blind side, they want a big black dummy. Okay, the bigger you are, the blacker your skin is, the dumber you gotta be to them. To them, okay. They want you to be out there like, I don't know nothing about politics. I'm just happy to be out the ghetto. They want that. And the second that they don't get that, whether that's LeBron James, whether that's Muhammad Ali, whether that's Kyrie Irving, whether that's Colin Kaepernick, whomever, they have an issue with that. Okay. Shador Sanders, they have an issue with that. So that shows a level of entitlement, arrogance, stupidity with her.
Yeah, no. I was appalled when I first saw it. I'm like, how do you say that to LeBron James? Like, I don't. And he addressed it. He said he will not shut up and dribble. He will keep talking about it. And to give you some context when it happened, that was around the I Can't Breathe when Derrick Rose and other people were wearing those shirts. So they saw that and got mad, because he was against the police brutality and what's going on. And he even said he's more than an athlete. LeBron's probably the most politically engaged, way more than Michael Jordan, I would say, speak out on stuff. And
I can agree with that.
so, yeah, that was really uncalled for what she said, very nasty. And it's just like, what do you mean? Like, I'm bigger than basketball. It's just like, I don't know. It's just the entitlement's crazy for them to say that. And of course, it'll be on like a Fox News or whatever. But
Yeah.
do you believe there are double standards when it comes to black and white athletes? If so, how do they show up?
I definitely do. I mean, it shows up a lot with just public comments and stuff like that. It shows up with if there was a white athlete, like for instance, Laura Loomer would have never said that to Tom Brady. Never said that to Tom Brady. Never said that to Aaron Rodgers. Never said that to any Caucasian athlete at all who feels free to be able to speak their mind, say what they want to say, whether it's controversial or not. They're not told to shut up. They're not suspended that way. Just the amount of public scrutiny. Now, you mentioned Angel Reese, right? A lot of people heard about Angel Reese with that one championship match she had with Caitlin Clark, where Caitlin Clark started doing the you can't see me thing, and then Angel Reese, because when Caitlin Clark and her team was winning, and then when Angel Reese and her team turned the game around, and then she did the same thing after the fact, you had a whole bunch of people online. Oh, she's classless. Oh my God, this shouldn't be in sports. And they were calling her the N. Some people were calling her straight up monkeys, the N word, all of that stuff. So you see a blatant double standard when it comes to sportsmanship. When they do it, it's just sportsmanship, and they're
It's
just tough. You got to
classy.
be
She
tough
took a
like that. You got to
stance.
be that. When the black athletes do it, oh, that's so poor sports. That's so classless. Oh my God, who raised you? It becomes that type of thing. And to be honest, they've had a bug in their ass about her ever since that day. She can't
Do
do anything
anything.
right according to them. And she's having dinner. They like, oh, her elbows are on the table. Oh my God, please get rid of her. It's always been that. Since that day, it's always been that with her. She can't breathe right to them. And it's like that with a lot of black athletes who there's a standard of you got to make sure that you're not being as flashy as the white athletes are able to be. You can't show off like they're able to be. You can't brag like they're able to. There was one thing where in boxing, I forget the name, but there was a thing in boxing way back in the days before Muhammad Ali's time where if a black boxer beat a white boxer, you couldn't even smile. The black boxer couldn't even smile. You damn sure couldn't be
Jack Johnson,
braggadocious and
James.
flashy and all of that. You couldn't do that because a flashy black athlete, oh, that you're too cocky and you're too like they do that with um, they do that with black athletes now. I remember when they were doing that a lot with Floyd Mayweather. Oh, he's not humble. We just like a humble. And they use the word humble when you're a black athlete. You should be humble. You should be so full of yourself. And then you have Conor McGregor, who's known for bragging. He's known, to be honest, known for bragging and then not even backing it up like that. But he's known for bragging, and they all like, oh, look at the swag he brings into the sport. Look at the energy and the confidence. It's confidence when they do it, and it's arrogance when we do it. So that's the double standard there. Double standards as far as fines is insane. The amount of fines that black people get for doing anything, the disqualifications black people get. I remember there was one sister, um, young black lady. This was high school or college or something like that, but she won first place in like this track race. And after she won the award or whatever, she tried to replicate this thing where her shoes were so hot they were on fire. So she took her shoes off and she sprayed her shoes with the fire extinguisher, and they stripped her title away from her for that, you know, because, and this was after the race, mind you, nobody was hurt, nothing like that, but they stripped the title away from her because they said it violated some type of rule or something like that. And they do stuff like that. Be all like, yeah, you can win, but you better be real humble about it. They want you to win and then keep your head down, be all like, I know I won, but I just really want to thank my white coach for being here. And that's what they want. They don't want you to feel that confidence and pride about it. That's why they don't like Deion Sanders or Shador Sanders. They don't like them because of that. Because
Yeah.
when they win, they're not going to be shucking and jobbing in front of the camera.
Yeah, a confident black man is they. I think you were talking about Jack Johnson because he was knocking out a lot of white men at
Mm.
the time and like the
Jack Johnson, yeah, I
I
think
think
so.
the
Yeah,
19th century, and they would get pissed off. He's the first black heavyweight champion ever. But
yeah.
back to the Angel Reese, yeah, it's
Let me
hella
give
good.
another example before we get to the Angel Reese thing. Even when you talk about Venus and Serena Williams, how they were talked about drug in the media for years about being too masculine, too ghetto. When when you would lose, they would throw it down. Oh my gosh, she's throwing a temper tantrum. You see white tennis players do that all the time, and they never say that. So that's another example. But going back to Angel Reese, as you were saying,
Yeah, with the Angel Reese thing, yeah, she was doing the same thing. They put Caitlin Clark on this pedestal, like it's classy, like she does this or they do that. But when Angel Reese does the same thing, she's ghetto, she's unintelligent, she does all this, which is very unusual and very weird to me. It's because someone dialects different and talking to you, we automatically put her in this box. She has to be this ghetto, arrogant black person. And I watched her podcast and like what she talks about and does. And it's the complete opposite of what the media try
mm-hmm.
to portray. And even the thing with Kayla Clark, the media try to portray that and hype that up and make it a race thing. And at the end of the day, they just competitors and they want to compete. And they had this misconception how black people compete versus white people. And they put it like, oh, they have passion and they have this. And black people, oh, these are thugs running the NBA and they're doing this and they're shoving. We didn't hear that about Jokic when he ran up on dude the other day, did we? When he
No.
got when he got fined $50,000. So you definitely see the double standards, and it's very annoying, and it's not helping no one, and it's sending the wrong message to younger people who aspire to be athletes to continue on this cycle of stereotyping and the double standard. We need to keep it fair across the board because it's just unright, and it's not right to keep doing that. Um, what is your favorite quote related to Black empowerment? Why does it resonate with you?
Oh man. Oh, my favorite quote. I'm trying to think. I don't really know. If I now let me see. Because there are some quotes that I do have. My boy, that's a good question. My favorite quote, the one that I'ma say that's on the top of my mind right now, okay, because we in this movement and we getting our reparations, right? So the one I'm saying at the top of my mind is when Dr. King was all like, when we come to Washington, we coming to get our check. That's the one, because that's actually on my Twitter. When you go to my Twitter, I have that quoted. That's the like in the bio of my Twitter is the quote from Dr. King saying that. And that's we on this pathway to reparations right now. There's a lot of quotes. The first quote I think of was when Malcolm X was talking about the knife in the back and how you can't talk about his progress until you take the knife out and patch the wound. But they take the knife out 6 inches and say it's progress when they don't even acknowledge the knife. So, that's the first thing. But I want to lean more into, because we're in this pathway to reparation. So I want to lean more into Dr. King's quote, at least for right now. It might change a little bit, but that is that for right now.
That's good. I'd probably say mine is Malcolm X. Education is the passport to the future.
All
So
right.
next question. What is your interpretations of Texas owner Bob and their comment? We have inmates running the asylum, particularly in the context of players protesting during the national anthem.
Well, the inmates running the asylum thing, that
Yeah.
just goes to show how they see sports as a plantation. All the millions of dollars that is generated through these athletes, they see this as slaves on a plantation picking cotton. That's how they see it. This is modern day plantation to them, and they are the slave owners, they're the overseers, and they should just be doing what they're told. Going back to what Laura Loomer was saying, they shouldn't be saying anything. They shouldn't be having an opinion, especially a controversial opinion, an opinion that they don't agree with. They should be grateful to be there. That's one thing black athletes are told all the time, how grateful they should be. They don't tell that to white athletes, that white athletes need to be grateful. They tell that to black athletes all the time, how grateful black athletes need to be for their success. Success, when you see a white person who's successful, that's because they earned it and they deserve it and they should be able to say it. When a black athlete gets successful, is you should be super grateful, right? You should be grateful and you should only thank everybody. So the fact that he says that just goes to show how they see black people still as their property, okay,
True.
and how they see themselves as above, superior to black people, okay, how they see these athletes as beneath them. It's not like, well, this is the team and they play for the team I own. They literally see black people as beneath them, as prisoners, as some subhuman, really, you know. So
Yeah.
that goes into how black athletes are treated in sports.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. It's definitely that prison. It's called a planter ideology, with like slaves and property and being told what to do. And it reminds me of just the old Warren, the white Warren, telling prisoners what to do. And it just shows you they had no respect for these players. Like they are anthems and all this stuff. I'm paying you so I can tell you you're a prisoner now. Does that sound ethical? No, it doesn't. Would they would have said that to soccer players? They would have said
Yeah.
that to
Hmm.
rugby players? No, they would say this to predominantly black players, which is really annoying. That comment really perturbed me. For him to have the nerve to say that he's made millions and billions off of these players and done that. But on to the next question. Colin Kaepernick sued the National Football League and later expressed interest in returning to the league. Do you see this as a contradiction or something more complex?
He sued the football league. Um, Repeat that one more time, please.
Colin Kaepernick sued the National Football League and later expressed interest in returning to the league. Do you see this as a contradiction or is it something more complex?
It could be something more complex. Um, because if they got rid of him, if they blackballed him, I'm not even talking about moving him from a team or a position. But if they blackballed him for him really expressing his First Amendment right that doesn't violate his contract or violate any type of policy, then they should be sued. And I feel like athletes honestly should sue their teams in the leagues more often because I feel like their teams in the leagues they get away with murder. Okay, they get away with any and everything, and there does need to be some type of standard to make sure that the teams and the leagues don't mistreat the players, don't abuse the players, which you see happen to be black. Anytime a black person does something that they deem is stepping out of line, the next thing you know, there's this fee, there's a suspension, there's this ban, there's this something. And you see, I think that black athletes need to utilize their ability to sue. Now, I don't think that him suing should necessarily ban him from the NFL though. If he wants to play, I mean, I don't think he ever not wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I can see how people be all like, "How you gonna sue and then come back?" But I felt like that was necessary at the time, just to show a precedent of how just because you're the NFL doesn't mean you should be able to get away with this. I would say, you know, and I don't like that because when people talk about that's hypocrisy, because that goes back to the humble black man thing where they be all like, well, if you want to play for the league, you need to just kind of shut up and deal with whatever we give you, you know? And
Yeah.
no, if I'm bringing value to the league, I need to be respected as such, as a valuable player to this league. You know, you're not gonna say, well, if you want to play in this league, I get to kind of abuse my power and you shouldn't be able to say anything. And if you want to say anything about me abusing my power, and violating your rights, then you shouldn't play for the league. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, but here's the thing. So after he sued, or before I'm trying to get the timelines right. So he sued, he won, but they had set up a private workout where they had, I believe, around 20 or 15 NFL teams to come. He cancels it 2, 3 hours before the workout and moves it to a whole nother spot, an hour and a half or 2 hours away to high school. What is your thoughts on that?
I gotta look at the details on that. From what I was told, he canceled it because there was some type of contract um thing that he didn't agree to that was there, or there was something that he didn't agree to that was there was a reason for his cancellation. I don't remember, um, but there was a reason for that. So to be honest, I
Oh,
don't remember.
yeah, I don't
But
really remember the reason either, but
yeah, I will say like um maybe without me knowing the reason for it, maybe maybe there was a need to or a way to renegotiate that or something like that. Um Without canceling, because I mean on this face, like if you're looking to come back in the league and now you're canceling, now it kind of can come off as if you're really not putting the effort in to come back or whatever the case may be. So Um, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, because I wanted him to come back. I just remember, your op Stephen A. Saying that they canceled. They had gave him an opportunity. Like I wanted him to come back. I'm like, but I ain't gonna lie. Like I support the cause, but there are a bunch of other details, like his girlfriend talking about owners of the team, the socks he was wearing, mocking owners. Like he's not clean slate in here, but I would have liked him to come back. But it feels like I don't know who was advising him or doing that. He has done some stuff counterproductive to him coming back. Even after suing, I believe he could have came back if he would have played his cards right.
Yeah.
Um, but next question: the National Football League uh, is made up about 70% black players. Yet a much smaller percentage are head coach. How do you interpret this disparity, and what it suggests about access to leadership opportunities?
Well, they don't like a black person with authority. They don't like a black person with any type of authority. Okay. They want, going back to the blind side, they want a big black dummy. And I'm not trying to say that NFL players are dummies. I'm not trying to say that at all. Okay. I don't want anybody to be like, man, why you keep calling us dumb? I'm not trying to say that. Okay. But that's what they want. They want you to sit up there and play the game like you don't know anything, like you just stepped on planet Earth. All right. They don't want you to have any type of saying power, because when you're a coach, you have some level of authority. When you're a team owner, you have some level of authority, and they don't like authority. They love skill, and we have to understand this. They love a black when because the NFL is men, and especially when it comes to men, because this is men owning teams, men coaching teams, men playing in the teams. When it comes to men, they love a black man who has a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of grit and grind, and all of that. They don't like a black man with no authority. Okay, they don't like that. So when it comes to leadership positions, they're going to keep that very, very close to the chest. Okay, because the thing is that they are like, once we let one in, the next one gonna come in,
They gonna
and the
hire their
next one gonna
buddy.
come in, and the next one, and then the leadership is going to start reflecting what the team looks like. Okay, we don't like that. We want this to run like the plantation we set it up as. Okay, where we got the overseer, we got the owner. The overseer would be like the coach in this analogy. The owner would be like the slave master in this analogy, looking over a slave of a bunch of strong Negroes. That's what they want. You know, they don't like the roles being reversed. They don't like that. So this also just goes to show the level of racism in politics, because it's the NFL, the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Um, Sports leagues in general.
Yeah,
And they talk about it being about, oh, it's about capitalism, but no, you see that there's a glass ceiling when a black person tries to own a team or get a team. There's always these, well, this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing is this unspoken rule of when it comes to ownership. We're supposed to play like we're giving it to the black person, or it's a fair chance for them, but they're not really supposed to have a fair chance for this. The ownership is spoken for when for non-black people. Okay, the ownership's already spoken for. We don't know who's gonna own the team. Is not gonna be you, Negro. That's what they know.
um, you brought up a good point. Are you familiar with the planner ideology? You hear me?
Say that again.
Are you familiar with the planner ideology?
Not
So,
really,
so
not
the
really.
planner ideology was a 19th century Southern U.S. belief justifying slavery as a positive good, patriarchal duty, and foundation of refined uh, ocracy. It's centered on white supremacy, patriotic control, on a high consumption, oligarchic lifestyle, with the panther class view themselves as benevolent guarders rather than exploiters. So these people view them as benevolent guarders instead of exploiters. Similar to what you said about the slavery and its inhumane system. Um, But you brought up all good points. You know, they don't want a new Negro. They don't want a confident. They don't want someone speaking. They just want you to shut up and dribble. Shut up
Hmm.
and dribble. Come here. You shoot the ball in the hoop. And even the person that with the LeBron James said, you put a ball in the hoop, basically saying how can I can respect you. That's the only skill you got, which is not true. I mean, dude is a multi-billion dollar businessman now, over $1 billion. So you know those are really good points. You brought up good points, and they need to get away from that. I'm doing you a favor too. I'm not just here. I have a voice, and I have this too. And it's going to become more and more problems with the bigger and bigger social media go, and we're going to see these old owners having a fit because a lot of players are speaking out more than ever because everyone has an Instagram, everyone has a Twitter, so it's
Yeah.
different. Um,
Everybody, black athletes, which is a thing I'm glad to see. Black athletes are not only diversifying, you see a lot of black athletes, they'll have like different businesses to the side, they'll have podcasts, they'll be able to speak on certain issues and things like that. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see um, just the new age of unapologetic um, outspokenness that we're seeing in a lot of these younger black athletes. You know, even when it comes to the interviewers, you're seeing a lot of, you know, younger, more fresh interviewers who are asking more important questions and all that. So you're seeing the grip that they used to have on black athletes. You're seeing that starting to loosen up. Not because they wanted to, but you're seeing it start to loosen up.
do you believe in NIL, name, image, and likeness deals allowing college athletes to be paid? If so, do you think it should be more regulated?
I do. I do. They should be paid. They're bringing value to the team. They're bringing value to the college or the high school. If people are paying to see them, and if the school is making money off them, it would be one thing if the school wasn't. But if the school is making money and they make a lot of money, the school's making money off them, the coach is making money off them, and they're the ones who have to go to practice. They're the ones who got to put their bodies on the front line. They're the ones who got to take the hits. They're the ones who got to practice the game, whether that's basketball, football, whatever. They're the ones who have to do that. They're the names people are coming to see. People are coming to get their jerseys early and all of that. People are coming to watch their games and follow them on social media. So their likeness is beneficial. Okay, they're like there's profit to their likeness, and it shouldn't be a thing. Well, because you're in college, you shouldn't own any of the profit to your own likeness. I don't agree with that at all. I think that that's another form of like how they do with the sports slavery. You know, I don't agree with that at all. We're pretty much they're owned as property
But
um
NCAA,
of the school, campus, coach, whatever.
yeah, I agree. They should be paid too. But it's more people now that they're being paid arguing should be regulated or done this or kids, you know, they trying to switch it back. But also athletes like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you would literally win a national championship, but you would come back hungry, can't afford a cheeseburger. He said that in his book and biography.
Mm,
And you have athletes like Reggie Bush that had to take money or do this and show their Heisman. And we also have people, I don't know if you're familiar with the Pony Express at SMU in the 80s. Well, these players low key had to sell cocaine and to do that to survive.
oh, wow.
And a lot of them had issues, problems, and addicts, and NCAA gave them the death penalty, which is their football and programs banned a year or two. They were a powerhouse. Eric Dickerson went there at the time. But we see these athletes have to do these extraordinary circumstances, be stressed out, have to do this, all these illegal activities, and do this because they're making free money off them and they're not getting part of the prize. So this is very annoying, and I'm really don't like the pushback going back. Because now they trying to make it back to the old ways or whatever, or we want to regulate it. Like, no, just let people have their money and go home. Everyone's getting paid, so why you mad?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think Michael Jordan has done enough for Chicago off the court? Why or why not?
Uh, done enough. Well, first off, I'm gonna be very clear. I don't think that athletes have the, and this may be the little controversial coming from me, but I don't feel like just because you're an athlete or you have status means that you have a responsibility to be Muhammad Ali. No, I don't think that necessarily you have to be an activist. I don't think so. I want to balance that out by saying I do feel like as a black man, you as a black person, not just a black man, but as a black person, even though I would give higher responsibility to the men of the community, but just as a black person, there is like a duty to give back. Okay, there is a duty to, you know, yeah, give back to the community. Okay, because the community did support Michael Jackson, not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan.
That
The
time.
community supported Michael Jordan, and it was the black community that made Michael Jordan this big global phenomenon. You know, so there is a responsibility and a duty I feel like he has in order to kind of give back and to show appreciation to the community that held him down and supported him through the tough times and watched his games and bought his tickets and bought his shoes and all of that stuff. So I feel like that. I feel like just there should be a duty, a sense of responsibility that all black people have just in general to in some way benefit the community. And I'm not 100% sure of all of the things that Michael Jordan has done as far as donations and other business ventures and things like that. I'm not 100% sure about that. But as far as what he could do and what he has done, he's not done the maximum of what he could have been doing. So absolutely he hasn't done the maximum of what he's been could have done. Maybe something here or there, a little bit over here, which is cool. And I'm not saying that you should go broke subsidizing the community, but I am saying that, as far as what can be done, and even if it's not monetarily, as far as calling out certain racist aspects, you know as far as not being used as a token, because there's been times when people be all like, well, if Michael Jordan's a billionaire, what are you talking about racism for? Michael Jordan can do it. Why can't you? So just his voice to address racist issues and things like that, that could have gone a much longer way than maybe even a donation could have. And that's something that I haven't seen from him. So I wouldn't give him the fact that he is doing what he can be doing. No, he's not.
Yeah,
Hopefully he will in the future, but right now he's not. No.
I don't think he's doing enough either compared to modern athletes. You see people like LeBron James starting a whole schools, sending thousands of people to college. We just don't see it. I'm not saying he has to, but he also said Republicans can buy sneaker shoe too. I don't know like all what he's done for the black community at links, but I've never hear about it. So I'm just like, maybe I'll ask that, but it's like compared to what LeBron has done and other athletes have done, it's 90 day and they have way less to work with. So he does need to do more and be
Yeah.
more philanthropic. What are your thoughts on the situation involving former Michigan head coach Sharon Moore and his staff? Do you believe he is completely innocent, or do you think that it's on the staffer too? What are your thoughts?
Um, I kind of want to say it's also on the Stafford, but do me a favor and remind me briefly about that situation
So,
again.
so the situation was the head football Michigan coach was there was this lady that was on the when he was the assistant coach that was paid and hired on as kind of like working for the football team. They get into a relationship. She ends up getting a salary increase 120, 30,000. He ends up crashing out, going to jail when it's exposed to the University of Michigan. She goes to Michigan and complains when I guess the relationship doesn't go good. And he has a breakdown, like a mental breakdown. He's arrested, locked up. I believe they gave him probation recently, but now she's making a video that's going around saying like how Michigan wasn't clear and double standards. Initially, they hired and kept her on, but they got rid of her recently. And she just did
Mm.
an interview. I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw some of it. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? Because it's a big thing. They won a national championship. That was a black head coach in Michigan, which we don't get.
No, no. And that's a big double standard. The whole, dig. I forget exactly the term they call it, when a black person is, entertaining other women or anything like that. When there's some type of intimate relationship, and I'm not condoning cheating, but when there's some type of intimate relationship with a black male, it's always the super severe thing that needs immediate and severe punishment. And you don't see that with their non-black counterpart at all, period. Okay, you don't see that. You see a shift in double standards there. I definitely feel like that was a huge over punishment that he received. I remember that, and I remember my feeling about that being a vast over punishment with that, which is another thing that happens in sports too. The over punishment is insane to set a precedent and an example. As far as her coming back, I'm not sure about the details of that. I will say that was it as severe? I do think that the staff is really blowing the situation up out of proportion. Now I wish he didn't go on his like I wish he didn't flip out about it. You know, when that stuff happens, you got to keep your cool because they're looking for you to flip out. They're looking for you to crash
They were
out.
looking
So
to get rid of him.
yeah, they're looking for a reason, and you just got to make sure you don't give them one. You got to make sure that you're thorough. So don't give them a reason. I know it's frustrating. I know, but don't give them a reason. Don't do it. Okay, you always want to have something you can fight against. If you crashing out and it's all public and multiple people can testify against you, it's really not a lot of defense you can have. So don't do that to yourself. So I was disappointed he did that to himself. Going back to it, I do still think he was over punished for that though. I still think he was over punished.
Yeah,
Um, you
I can
know,
I can see that, but I want to interject. But you got to think they're in a position of power, and we've been talking about kind of the racial stereotypes and what black people have to go through. So,
mhm.
are you really surprised about that? Like how they done
Yeah, I'm
that,
not
brother?
either.
So especially with like programs like that, Michigan probably the most winning college football program of all the time, and I think that's the first black coach. So you under a microscope, and she was blonde hair, blue eyes, and you know, but I mean, I just don't like the narrative the media is playing. I think they're both at fault. I mean, cheating's not good, but there is
Mhm.
once you do involve a person of color, it is like heightened to like wow, like it's the end of the world. They can't see it. So I think they're both playing into that or whatever, but I also don't like the way she's handling now. I don't did she expect she was gonna stay in Michigan and have a future career there after this?
Yeah, for real. Like, and that's her believing in her racial privilege right there.
Yeah. So
Like he should be
right.
thrown under the bus, but she should get a slap on the wrist. And the fact that she's not getting a slap on the wrist is what offends her.
Yeah, no,
So,
all good points. So Megan Thee Stallion and Clay Thompson are recently broke up. Do you
yeah,
think that
yeah, the
so
whole
Clay
world know about
Thompson
that. That's
so
been such a big story. Okay.
so Clay Thompson has been predominantly quiet in his career. We've never really heard nothing about him dating wise or anyone. He just part of Splash Brothers that shoot threes, this like that, like one of the best players. Um Maggie came out said, "Oh, he cheated or etc. or something." Do you think that when celebrities and athletes break up, they should keep it inside closed doors, or should they vent to the world like Megan Thee Stallion just did the other day?
No, and that's one thing. Don't go on social media, but and even if you want to make an announcement, and somebody said this recently, like, okay, well, you might want to say something, especially if you were in a public relationship, just because if you're seen with another person, you don't have the blog sites, TMZ, and all that putting out the narrative that you're cheating. So, like, oh no, we've decided to respectfully move on or whatever the case is. So that way, like, if you are on a date with somebody else, it's not the paparazzi's not like, oh, you're cheating on da 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 da. Oh no, we broke up a long time ago. So it might not be. I could see that. However, I would avoid putting my relationships, especially when you're on that type of status, when you have that type of level on social media pretty much at all. Unless like y'all Jay-Z and Beyonce and y'all about to get married or something like that. Unless it's that type of serious, I wouldn't do. And you need time for that for it to get like that. Now maybe the paparazzi might see y'all on a date or something like that. But as far as putting everything on social media, we should avoid that. And then when it comes to the breakups, you gotta keep it sophisticated. Let's be adults about this. People break up all the time for a lot of different reasons. Okay. Even if he cheated and you're upset about that, I would still say I would say the same thing to Klay Thompson. I would say to Megan. If Megan cheated on Klay Thompson and he's, oh, you're a cheater on Instagram, that's not how a grown man should operate, man. You shouldn't be sitting up there going on social media venting on Instagram. Okay, that's not how you should operate, and I don't think that's how she should have operated. And then I'm saying like, okay, um, did he cheat or did he just say he didn't want to be um monogamous? Okay, because those are not the same thing exactly. If he's saying he want more than one woman and you're interpreting that as cheating, I think that, I mean, depends, because to be honest, what people consider cheating today, one person might consider one thing and another person might consider another thing. But regardless of that, her post blew this spot up because we would have never known if she didn't make that post. We would have never known, even if we knew they broke up eventually by them not seeing each other or them being seen with other people. Even if she wanted to say something, eventually, um, 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 I don't think that was the way to go about it at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I mean, I'm referring back to that. Do you remember that Offset song, Do Anything for Clout?
Yeah.
So a lot of these relationships are manufactured off clout because any attention is good attention now, and this social media age. Do you think that it was a attention grab, this relationship, or was it maybe potentially real?
I kind of didn't really follow the relationship like that. It
Say,
could have been an intent. It could have been a publicity stunt. I'm gonna tell you two different theories. It's a publicity stunt. Celebrities get into relationships with other people for publicity, and they sign contracts and things like that, and they eventually break up. And you see that with a lot of celebrity couples. It could have been, a lot of people were saying that it could have been that Megan was trying to be serious and, get taken off the market, and she wanted to, you know, be serious with somebody, and turns out that Clay wasn't really about that. Okay. And she wanted to marry into the family and all that, and Clay's family didn't approve of that, or Clay didn't approve of that. And so I'm not sure. But going on to the first one, if it is publicity, people need to touch grass and get out of celebrities relationships. I would say that if it is a publicity stunt, people need to stop being so gullible all the time, you know because I'm seeing this Megan Thee Stallion Klay Thompson thing all up and through my timeline. I mean,
yeah.
it's a huge story. You know what I'm saying? Trump had an assassination attempt. It didn't get these many headlines. Now, if it was a real relationship, then we just got to respect other adults' decisions. It's not our business, you know. And one thing about celebrity relationships that a lot of people say is that a lot of people, when it comes to celebrity relationships, people are always going to, the public in general is always going to lean towards the woman's side with it. So that's why you got to make sure you do your due diligence. If it was a real relationship, try to figure out exactly both sides of the story before you make whatever
Assumption.
judgment you're going to make about it. Before you make a video blasting one person or another person, you know, because sometimes it could have been Megan who was in the wrong. It could have been Clay who was in the wrong, but you don't know unless you have all of the evidence, you know.
Yeah, Clay hasn't said anything, but I agree with everything you said. I'll keep it in house. It's not about me. Maybe she was hurt. I mean, other people are saying that she's a human, like she's going out and posting like us just because they're a celebrity. But at the end of the day, you a brand. I mean, you gotta think
Yeah,
logical.
this yeah, I get it. I get it. She's a human. It's emotional. However, like you said, you're a brand. There's things you gotta as Megan Thee Stallion. There's things you gotta consider with millions of followers that somebody with a few thousand followers don't gotta consider. Don't gotta take into consideration at all.
All right, two more questions. I'm gonna let you go. What is your prediction for the upcoming season for the Chicago Bears?
I don't know, man. I think because I think they just replaced the head coach, if I'm not
No, they
mistaken, right?
didn't. They didn't believe
They
that.
didn't. That must have been another team I was looking at then.
Um,
With the Chicago Bears. Oh, Bears, the Bears. I don't know why I was thinking about the Bulls, but the Bears, right? I think the Bears got it. I think the Bears are doing really well. If the Bears keep their team, the the chemistry that the team has, um, the coach is great, the quarterback is great. Everybody, I'm talking about the last season they played was really one of the best seasons they've played, I think, ever. Honestly, one of the best ones I've ever seen. Hey, I think
they've
the
been
best
so
one
bad.
I ever seen. Making it to the playoffs, winning game after game. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I think that if they just look, there were certain mistakes that they would have made, and if they can correct, just tweak a little bit of the mistakes, I think we got it next year.
Yeah,
I honestly do.
yeah, I think they can go far. They just drafted a white safety from Oregon. He white, so he got to be good. These white safeties don't be playing. So
Huh.
he was a part of one of the best defense in the country, Oregon, for the last 2 years. I know because they beat the hell out of Illinois.
Mm.
And I've seen how crazy that Oregon team was. So um, I'm happy that they got picks, they got guards. So yeah, they can possibly go all the way. It's the best season, one of the best seasons in recent history. Caleb Williams breaking records. And we also see what's his name, the Chicago median guy that's making all the videos. So it feels good to have someone talking trash about Chicago sports. But
Mhm.
Perry, but last question, why do you think sports matter to society beyond entertainment?
Um, good question. Good question. Good question. Going back to one of the reasons why it shows character, and in the world that we live in, we need people of strong character. We need people of grit. It is inspirational. We got a lot of people who are just honestly inspired, not even just when it comes to being in sports or being an athlete, but we have people who take inspiration in seeing the hard work of other people. Whether you might look at Michael Jordan and what he accomplished, LeBron James and what he accomplished, and you might say, okay, I'm gonna apply that hard work, I'm gonna apply that, you know, perseverance and grit and determination. I'm gonna apply that level of energy to my education. And you might be able to be super successful and become a doctor or a lawyer or engineer or something like that, gaining the inspiration from somebody who was a basketball player, or who was a boxer, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, all of that. That amount of inspiration, motivation, authority, all of that. I feel like those are elements that resonate with other people outside of that field. The teamwork, the fact that they're able to help each other out, they're able to know where they're needed and do what they need to do just instantly, the chemistry and the teamwork, the brotherhood of that resonates outside of that sport in general and into society. Okay, it bleeds over into society in a very positive way. To be able to get up and shake hands with, boxers, how they be fighting each other, punching each other in the face and the stomach, and then after the game is over, they give each other a hug and say, "Hey, man, good fight." You know, the sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Uh,
Um, the ability to do that. The ability to not take a loss personally, that resonates and that needs to be implemented in the rest of society. So I feel like it's good for those reasons.
Yeah, sports like stories like Allen Iverson, how he was racially profiled and got a bowling alley. They say he would never play basketball, but he overcame that and became one of the greatest basketball players ever. Bowling fight alley, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Also, stories like players that just got drafted in the NFL. Well, how would you do that? One player said he'd die for it. So that's what
Mm,
he gonna do. And one of them said he was effing made to do this, so he gonna do good. So you see that passion like that, and you see the stories and how these people came up, and their mom or someone maybe sacrificed or done this and took into these games. And these sports are not cheap. AAU
yeah,
traveling and all this stuff. So to see those stories, you can put that grit and motivation to other stuff in the society. It's not physical. You can put that grit towards you too. Get the grit. So it's just that passion and love to see people that work hard. But yeah,
yeah.
this has been a long interview, probably my longest one. I appreciate you for coming on. It's been a long time coming, man. I'm trying to get upload some more videos like you, man. This man consistent, man. This
Yeah.
dude don't be playing around, man. We could be somewhere at a club. He might be in the corner with his laptop talking about he trying to broadcast. So have his little headphones in. So thank you for coming. What is your social media, your Twitter, Instagram, TikTok?
Yeah, well, it's Afro Elite pretty much everywhere. Everywhere you look, if you type in Afro Elite on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, that's what you're gonna find Afro Elite
Yeah.
across the board.
Well, I'm gonna also link that in the description. Thank you for coming, Afro Elite, man. We on the road to 100K for
Yes,
Afro
sir.
Elite. He's almost at 50K. He's about 40. We finna get him there. But all right, Dan, thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right,
having
be
me.
one.